These two boxes of Rallyman are jam-packed with possibilities, and it's my intention to highlight all of the interesting things you can do with them. This is Shakedown. In today's Shakedown, various Rallyman rules get thrown into a blender and emerge as the Drift GP. Who doesn't like a good drift around a corner? It might not be the most effective way to travel from point A to point B, but sometimes you're not being tested on time or position, but on whatever the judges deem important. Outrun 2006 has a mode where you try to impress your passionate passenger in a series of mini challenges, some more absurd than others, and while I'm sure you could come up with a set of rules for this kind of thing if you want, it's probably more useful to think less outrun, more battle run. We find ourselves on the Autopolis Drift stage today, putting Gravy's Drift GP rules into action. The stage looks simple enough, but we're not going to determine a winner through time or position. Instead, we're going to perform a solo run to get to grips with the dice scoring system, which will determine our starting position in the battle run, where we'll go head-to-head with our opponent, attempting to stick with him and, over 2 battle runs, outscore him. The opponent in question is Kalle Rovanperä, now a 2-time WRC champion, rendering these driver cards out of date already, and we're going to set him to his hardest difficulty. Not only is he a drifting specialist, but he'll also earn an additional second each turn, which will count towards his dice score. If you remember, players earn focus or seconds differently to NPCs, so we're going to have to think about when to go flat out and when to play it safe. But truth be told, even then I think I'm going to be the runner-up today. We're going to be in the yellow GT5, and Kalle can have an even more appropriate car for the job in the form of the purple GT5. May the best man win. We are on the start line to this Autopolis Drift stage, and off camera I've done Kalle's solo run, and it's an impressive 15 points to beat, so we are going to have to earn as many points as we can and efficiently. Now, one of the ways that you can earn points is by going flat out and earning lots of seconds. So I'm going to hope that these 7 dice are going to roll in my favour as we start with a run straight up to 5th gear and then coasting towards the first corner. And we have got a flawless set of dice. That has put us into 5th gear, and we have 7 seconds for our dice score. We take a Gear 5 time card to remind us how long we have spent on the course. They will be negative points by the end of the run. So we're in 5th gear, coming up to a Gear 3-4 corner. Now the next way that you can earn points is by being in the outside lane in the printed gear. So if we drop to 4th like that and then coast through, so long as those dice stay there for the turn and don't roll hazards, of course, we can score 3 attack points by doing a move like that. Now, if we can extend our run, ideally up to 5th gear, that would be nice. We would have to boost into 5th from 3rd and then break down to 2nd to bridge the gap. So a move like that could work nicely for us. We would get 3 attack points for the first corner, and we would be in 5th gear on the outside of the next for another attack point. We would also get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 focus, or seconds, sorry, if we were to go flat out. It's a bit of a risk. Let's gamble away and see if our luck is in. It is. We've got no more hazards again. So we have taken a nice drift through the first corner before transitioning into the start of a drift in the next. We take 6 seconds for our flat out dice, 3 attack points for the first corner, and another 1 in the second corner. I'm going to use the focus tokens to represent that. We take a Gear 5 time card to remind us what gear we're in and how many turns we have taken. And then we are on to our 3rd turn. Now, I think with all these seconds earned from our focus, we're in a good position to not worry about that going forward. So we should probably keep our turns nice and safe. If we coast into that space, we'll get the attack point for staying in 5th gear. So I want to do that. I also want to end my turn in 5th gear if I can, although we don't have to earn attack points, of course. It does look stylish drifting around a corner, but we can sneak through the inside instead and hope to earn points elsewhere on the course. So let's try something like that. We will have to break down to 3rd gear coming out of that corner, and that'll do nicely. We could go flat out and hope for the best. I have said that we don't need to, but with rolls like these, I think we should. So that has earned us another 5 seconds as we take the drift before going on the inside and not at all stylishly around that corner. We end in 5th. We only got 1 attack point for that first corner, and we are on to the next turn already. I think I'm doing pretty good. I might just want to run to the finish line. Hopefully I've earned enough seconds, remembering that NPCs don't earn them in the same way that we do. So I think that will offset any penalties we get. So I do want to try and get out of this course as quickly as I can. Now I don't think we can get to 5th from there. 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. No, we are 1 space short. So we are going to want to do something different. Let us coast in there, break down to 3rd on the inside, and we will coast out, come up to 4th and end in 5th. Absolutely no need to go flat out, but I have started, so I'm going to finish. Just the 1 hazard. We have earned 5 focus for going flat out. We have not earned any attack points for ignoring that second corner again. We take a gear 5 time card, and we are on to the next turn, and that will just be coast 5 across the line. I am very confident going flat out with those. So this will be the turn where they all come up hazards. Nope. So we've got another 3 seconds as we cross the line. We're going to add up all of our seconds and attack points minus the number of time cards we've got and hope the result is more than 15, and with 26 points in total it certainly is. A comfortable win thanks to earning many more seconds than the NPCs when going flat out there, but this was only to determine who was going to lead the first battle run, which is me. So let's find out what'll happen when there are 2 cars out on track. So we are in the lead for this first battle run, and that is going to be much the same as the opening turn, in that we're just going to scream towards the first corner and hope to end in 5th. Now, I would also hope that my luck is still in from going flat out so often. This is a risk. And we have 2 hazards, so we are pushing our luck just a bit. We do end in 5th gear, so we take a gear 5 time card to remind us. We also take 7 seconds for our flat out roll, and we will see if Kalle can keep up. He's going to do much the same if he can, and given that he is a very hard NPC, I imagine he will. So he gets to re-roll nothing because there are no hazards, so we know that he's going to match us. He's going to end in 5th gear. He is going to have no unused gear dice or coast dice, so he doesn't get seconds from that, but he does have the focus trait, so he does get a second for his turn. And then we're going to assign some proximity points. I haven't managed to pull away from Kalle, so I don't get any, but as Kalle has stuck with us, he does earn a proximity point, and hopefully he won't earn too many as the battle goes on. Next round then, and we are going to go around the outside to get some attack points, and in a repeat of our solo run, I think we're going to drop down to 2nd, so that we can go into 3rd and boost up to 5th gear and block off that corner for Kalle. Now, I am not going to go flat out on those, so we're going to roll 1 by 1 and hope for a good set of dice. It doesn't start well with a hazard on the 4, but our coasts are good. So let's break down to 2nd gear. That was good. Into third is good. Do I want to risk a boost into 5? I think I do. We have just the one hazard on our first dice. So we have drifted around the outside in 4th gear and then transitioned and ended in 5th like that. We're going to take a gear 5 time card. We're going to take 3 attack points for this first corner and another 1 for drifting in the next corner. And we're going to see if Kalle can match us. So Kalle is going to roll everything. He's going to re-roll his 5th gear. And lucky for him, he has a trait that ignores hazard results. But he's not going to need them. He's just that good. He has not lost control. So he is going to drop to 4th to coast around the outside, get some attack points of his own. He wants to end in a high gear if he can. So he's going to go and boost into 5th. He can drop from 3rd there. So he's going to get 2 seconds for unused gears and another second for being focused. He's also going to take 3 attack points for going around the outside of that first corner. We do not get a proximity point. We are ahead of him, but we are not in a higher gear. Kalle Rovanperä does earn a proximity point because he is only 1 space behind us. As we go into the next round, I want to remain in 5th gear to get some attack points. And then I want to try to block off the corner as much as I can. So to that end, I'm going to only do coast to coast for 5. And I'm going to go flat out on those dice. Hopefully a safe roll, just the 1 hazard on the 4. So we're going to put ourselves here in 5th gear. 4 seconds for our flat out roll. 1 attack point for this corner and 1 attack point for the next as we see what Kalle can do behind us. He is going to re-roll a couple of gear dice and have lots to work with. He wants to get some attack points of his own, so he can coast through. He's in 5th gear, of course. He can do the same as us, in fact. So he can do a move like that. That will get him 3 seconds for unused dice, 1 second for his focused trait, and he's going to get 2 attack points for attacking the outside of that corner. In terms of proximity points, again, we do not get 1 because while we are ahead, we are not in a higher gear. Kalle has managed to get a proximity point of his own for sticking with us. I'm going to try to get the attack points. If I can't get the proximity points, I might as well get all the points I can. And once again, we can play it safe and wow the crowds by putting a load of dust and smoke around the outside of the track. I'm going to go flat out on those dice. Just the 1 hazard on the 4 again. That'll put us here in 5th gear. 2 points for the outside of the corner. We get 4 seconds for going flat out. I don't actually know the rules of overtaking during a drift event, so I'm pretty sure that Kalle is not going to take the lead when he gets to that inside space. He is going to need to re-roll gear 4, and that is easily done. So on the assumption that there are no overtakes, I'm going to have him coast around the outside like that. That would get him 3 attack points and end in 5th gear. But ideally, he wants some proximity points. So he's going to want to be in 5th here, which means he's going to have to sacrifice an attack point by dropping into 3rd at the end of that corner. So I think that's what he is going to do. He's going to get 2 seconds back for unused dice and another second for being focused. 2 attack points for going around the outside of that corner. And then he is going to earn a proximity point for sticking with us. Next round then, and we are going to try to go around the corner in 4th, and that will give us more attack points. I want to try to extend this run if I can. And so I'm going to brake to second and then come into third and boost up to fifth. I'm not sure it matters, but I think we will try to minimize the amount of turns that we take getting to the end. I'm going to go one by one. Gear 4 has remembered that it has a gear 4 instead of a hazard. Breaking down to 2 is fine, so these are good to roll. Didn't need to worry about that at all. 3 attack points for going around the outside of that final corner. Kalle is going to re-roll a couple of gears, and he is going to, I think, try to get some attack points of his own. So he has drifted around the outside. Can he get up to fifth? I believe he can. He would have to do much the same as us. Break down to second and then boost into fifth. He would earn 1 second for being focused. His gear 1 was a hazard, so even though he has the efficient trait, which is to ignore 1 hazard result, that is for the track only. So in terms of the NPCs and how they earn seconds, this hazard is going to count against him in that regard. He is going to get 3 attack points for going around the outside of the corner and a 5th gear time card. As we come into the last round, that will just be a coast-to-coast 5 across the line for us. Going to go flat out. It would make sense to do so. We get just the 1 hazard on gear 5. So we get 3 seconds for going flat out. And Kalle is probably going to do much the same. He is going to re-roll gear 4 and use coast to coast 5 to get over the line himself. He is going to get 5 seconds, 4 for unused gear dice and 1 for focused. And that is that for battle run number 1. Totaling everything up, Kalle Rovanperä finds himself ahead of me. We're going to add these results to those from the second battle run to see who comes away with the overall victory, so there is still some fighting to be done. Hopefully we can keep pace with him as we follow in the next run. Kalle is on pole for the next battle run. Let's see how he kicks things off. He's going to have some hazards to reroll, and that will get him all the way up to 5th gear towards that first corner. He is going to get no seconds back for unused gear or coast dice, but he is going to get 1 second back for being focused. Can we match that? I'm just going to hope for the best as we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, coast, coast, flat out. 1 hazard on gear 4. That's proving to be the problematic gear for me. We're going to get 7 seconds for our flat out roll, and we're going to get a proximity point for having come alongside Kalle. So we have denied him a proximity point. So on the next round, what is Kalle going to do? I think he's going to do what I would have done and try to block up the corner. So he's going to break down to second and boost up to 5th. 1 second for unused dice, another second for his focus, and 4 attack points for drifting around those 2 corners. So I want to do much the same. Into 4th there. We can drop to 3rd and then boost up to 5th gear like that. Now, I am going to risk flat out on that, and hopefully we are good to go. 2 hazards is not a loss of control, so we are going to end our turn in 5th gear. We have got 5 seconds back for having gone flat out. We've got another 3 attack points for going around that corner. And we have got a proximity point for being behind Kalle as we go into the next round. What is Kalle going to do? He's going to re-roll a couple of dice, and he is going to, again, probably try to block up the corner. So, coast, coast, 4, 5. is a good way of doing that. That will get him 3 seconds back for unused dice, 1 second for being focused, and he's going to get 2 attack points for drifting around the outside. Can we match that? We are going to coast through the corner and come out in 4th to go up to 5th gear. And we can do that flat out as well. That will be another hazard on gear 4. Something going on with that dice. We have 2 attack points and we have a proximity point. We are sticking with Kalle as much as we can, which is very good news. As we go into the next round, he is unfortunately going to lose control. So he has rolled hazards on 2, 3 and 4. So at the end of this turn, he will unexpectedly lose control, handing us the win. He does get to re-roll the dice before placing them, so probably wants to maximize his points. He is going to be in 5th gear there, and he will try to be in 4th over here. So he's going to break down to 3rd, and then into 2nd, and then boost up to 4th, and then lose control. So he will end his turn in gear 00, having crashed at the final corner. He is going to get a couple of attack points for having drifted around the first corner, and I don't think crashing is drifting, so I'm not going to award him points for that, and his run is definitely over. At this point, I do think there is possibilities to overtake and finish the stage, although whether we're going to score points after that, I don't know. Let's take one thing at a time then. We are going to probably just drop into 4th gear to coast through like that, avoid the accident, and then boost up to 5th gear. And we'll roll flat out in solidarity with Kalle. And if we both lose control, then that's some sort of poetry. We don't. We have got 5 more seconds back on the clock as we finish the run in 5th gear outside of that corner. We will assume that the battle round has come to a stop there and that the judges have awarded me the victory, but we will add up all the points attained thus far and see who comes out on top.
Let's start!
There aren't too many more definitive results than that. Just like in rallying, a crash is devastating to your chances of overcoming the leader, especially so if you are an NPC. So we win our first Drift GP event against one of the best. Hopefully I got the rules right, and I'm sure Gravy will tell me if I haven't, and I hope you give him some feedback from yourselves. There are other stages to get your drifts on, and against some human opponents, this should serve as a great alternative for any World Rally champions who happen to be taking on a part-time drive next season. For the rest of us, it shows that we still haven't found the limits to what Rallyman and its community are capable of. All that's left to say is to remind you to drift responsibly.